Hello, college writing students. This video is to help you get ready for retaking the sentence variety quiz. There are a few of you who will probably choose not to retake it because you did well enough the first time, but many of you are going to want to improve your score. So the quiz will be similar to the last one in that I will give you a group of sentences and I'll ask you to combine them, usually into 2 sentences at the most. I will usually ask you to emphasize a certain thing or de-emphasize a certain thing, or I may ask for a certain kind of structure. Now, I'm going to use less terminology in this quiz. So I do need you to know what parallel structure is, and we'll look at that in a moment. I do need you to know what I mean by a main clause and a subordinate clause, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But I'm not going to ask you to know from memory what a periodic sentence is or what a pace-breaking sentence is. I'll use simpler words. I'll say that I want the subject and the verb at the end of the sentence, or I'll say that I want the subject and the verb separated as much as possible. So you don't have to know periodic and pace-breaking. You do need to know parallel and subordinating. All right. To help get ready for this, I thought we would look at a few of the sentences that you guys did, the sentence combinings that you did, and just kind of talk through those. So here's one. This one is about the yearbook. And it was supposed to use parallel structure, and it was supposed to de-emphasize the size of this year's staff. So let's talk about the de-emphasizing first. If we go down here, it says this year's staff bolsters 3 members, while most average 8 to 10. Needless to say, they are troopers. All right. The 3 members comes early in the sentence, right after the verb, which is a strong verb. So I would say the 3 members is pretty emphasized. You can de-emphasize that more. You could rewrite this sentence to say, this year's staff, unlike a usual 8 to 10 staff, parentheses, this one has 3 members, are troopers. So by putting them in parentheses and in the middle of the sentence, I reduce the emphasis. You can de-emphasize something by putting it in the middle and ideally in a subordinate clause. All right, let's also talk about parallel structure. This has some. It could do even more. Has been faced with technical difficulties and are now faced with working remotely. So the has been faced and are now faced, that's parallel. To make it even more parallel, instead of technical difficulties and working remotely, we could have technical difficulties and remote work. Similar structure. So when you're doing parallelism, just keep the grammatical structures as similar as possible as you go from one part of the sentence to another. All right, let's look at another one. Here it says you're looking for a periodic sentence. That means that the subject and verb are at the end, and I won't use the phrase periodic sentence. Everybody watched. I wanted those to be the subject and verb, so that means I wanted those at the end. They're actually pretty early in the sentence here. There was a time when everybody watched one program at the same time, making television synchronous. You could rewrite that sentence to say something like, in the days when television programs were synchronous, there would be one program at the same time and everybody watched. I saved that till the end. That's periodic. All right. I think that's the only thing I wanted to point out in this sentence. So let's move on to the next one. We're trying to put the fact that Wava has performed in the main clause, not a subordinate clause, and the fact that the gender is disguised in a subordinate clause. So, first of all, this has a semicolon in it, and that's actually not where we want the semicolon. We want it down here. Because the word which here ties directly into what's happening before, so those are closely related clauses. They just need a comma between them. These, on the other hand, are both independent. I haven't done that play with a class before. I know that it is a romantic comedy. Those could be sentences by themselves, so we need more than a comma here. This is a comma splice. That's where we want the semicolon. All right. We have kind of subordinated, by having the word which here, the fact that it's gender disguising. We could make it even more subordinate by putting it somewhere in the middle, but this kind of does it. All right, last one. We were looking here for a pace-breaking sentence with emphasis on perimeter. Pace-breaking, which I won't use those words on the quiz, means that there's a big space between the subject and the verb. You break up the natural flow of the sentence, which is to go from subject to verb, by having the subject and then a bunch of other stuff and then the verb. All right. Do we do that here? This first sentence says, Michael Pollan says, subject verb. So that's not pace breaking. His definition is somewhat pace breaking. All right. And how did we do with perimeter? His definition on food is where it is located, stating that most produce, meat, and dairy food items, the healthier choices, run along the perimeter of the store. That is near the end, and the end is the place of greatest emphasis, so I think we succeeded there. We could have made even more division between subject-verb. In this sentence. All right. We can talk more about this after you've done a practice one. So at our Zoom meeting tomorrow, we can talk about the practice that you're going to do and anything else you have questions about. I hope your week is going really well. God bless you.